Hey everybody, welcome to the course. This is English 220, World Literature 1. You might think of it as world literature through the Renaissance or world literature through around 1650. I'm the professor for this course. My name is Anthony Sams. I'm an English professor at the Sellersburg campus of the Ivy Tech system. That's the one that's just a few miles north of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm really excited to be teaching this course, and what I wanted to do in this video is go through the course syllabus with you. Now, I know that you have the opportunity on your own to review the course syllabus, and you can print it or just look through it. But I wanted to make sure that you also had an opportunity to experience the information portion of this course through a video with me. So I can talk through some of the choices that I've made for the course this term, and also perhaps preemptively answer some of your questions. So you can open the course site through Canvas/IvyLearn if you want and follow along with me. But I'm also going to share my screen and literally scroll through the syllabus with you. Obviously, there are some logistical parts of the syllabus that are going to be very common for your college experience, and I'm not going to necessarily go over those portions in depth, but I am going to go over what I think is the really important information to know about how this course is set up, the work that you're going to be doing for the term, how that work is going to be assessed, and also the course philosophy, get a sense of who I am as a professor, so you can think about what this course is going to be like this particular term. So let me switch over now to share my screen. And as I do that, I want to draw our attention to the syllabus portion of our Canvas IvyLearn site. You'll hear me throughout the course say both Canvas and IvyLearn. Here at the college, the Canvas Learning Management System, that's the brand name of the service, is branded internally as IvyLearn. So Canvas, IvyLearn, they mean the exact same thing. But if you go to a different college or university that uses Canvas, they may call it Canvas. And so I just want you to be aware of that. It's essentially the same thing. This is the instructor side of Canvas. Because the course isn't published yet, I don't want to turn on the student view. It's going to limit what we're able to see and not see. So let's go through, again, as I said, the important and unique information related to this course, not the information that would be common to all college syllabi here at Ivy Tech. All right, so let me introduce myself again. My name is Professor Anthony Sams. You can call me Anthony. Please feel free to call me Anthony. If that makes you uncomfortable to refer to your professors by their first names, you can call me Professor Sams. That's fine too. But I really encourage you, feel free to say Anthony. My email address, you can see, is listed there, asams1@ivytech.edu. And you can also message me through the Canvas inbox. So you just come over into the left margin of the Canvas IvyLearn site and just click inbox, and that'll send me a message as well. I don't care which one, email or inbox, either are perfectly fine. My office hours for the summer 2023 term are 12:30 to 2 and 3:30 to 5 Eastern on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So just know that we can hop into a Zoom link if you need to meet one-on-one. If you're local to the Sellersburg campus and you want to come by my office, that's perfectly fine. Right now, the building that I'm in is under construction, and so it's a little difficult to navigate to my office. So if you would like to visit me in person, I would probably say it'd be a good idea to send an email my way. Similarly, with the office hours, I will try to keep the Zoom link open and live during my office hours. But when you're a faculty member at a college, sometimes you're in a face-to-face session and I would miss you if you hopped into the Zoom link, or I might be away from my desk, pulled into a meeting that's taking place during my office hours time. So if you want to make sure that you're going to get me, if you want to make sure, if you're coming to talk to me and you really want to talk to me about something and you need it to be in a live session on Zoom, communicating back and forth, just shoot me an email in advance and say, hey, can I come to your office hours tomorrow, or can I make an appointment to see you soon? And if those hours don't work for you, if you're working during those hours, or you have childcare during those hours, and you're not going to be available to talk to me, just shoot me an email and let me know when you could meet. I really value meeting and talking with my students and being there to support them. I think you'll find that there's no bigger cheerleader for you in your college experience than me. I want you to do well. I want you to learn. I think you'll have that impression by the time we get to the end of the syllabus review. But feel free to reach out to me and say, I can't make your office hours, but can we meet at this time? And if I can meet you at that time, I will do my best to meet you at that time. And we can mornings or in the evenings or even on the weekends if I'm available, and can meet with you. So just always know that you can reach out to me and talk to me. You can look at my communication plan, which is linked here as well, for more information on supporting you this term. The Canvas inbox, by email. I'll be sending out weekly course announcements. You can call my office. I've got my office phone number listed there. You could schedule a visit at my campus office, or you can do some virtual office hours in our course Zoom link. In short, I'm really here to talk to you about the course and anything that you need related to the college experience. Now, here's the note, or the caveat, or the idea that I do want to get across. It's in this section, the special note about two-way communication. So in the course, a week begins on Monday and concludes on Sunday. I check email daily, Monday through Friday. Typically check it more than once, or I typically check it once on the weekends. You'll be notified if I'm going to be away, though, and unable to respond. I usually try to respond within 36 hours to any emails that you send. I do try to give myself a weekend. Now, for me, because I have a teaching position, and I have a wife who has a professional therapy practice, and my kids are on summer break, right? We're going to try to observe weekends on Saturdays and Sundays this summer. But I know that it's important to give yourself at least a day, if you can, every week. That's for you. A day of rest, a day of relaxation, a day of socializing, a day of doing something with your hobbies. Those days might not be two for you. It might just be one, and they might not be Saturday and Sunday. I know that the life of a college student is frequently quite busy. I was a college student once and a graduate student once, and my wife went to graduate school after we had kids. And so I know that the life of a college student is very busy. Your professional life, your family, your job, your courses, whatever, are going to take up the time that you have, right? And sometimes you have to pick a day that's off from one responsibility to have another responsibility. Sometimes the day that you aren't doing schoolwork is the day that you're going to do things with your family, or the day that you're going to do things with a significant other, or the day that you're going to be working. Your success is a top priority, though, right? And I'm willing to accommodate you when needed. I do hope, though, that you try to give yourself at least a day, and feel free to keep in touch with me. Your mental health, your personal life balanced with your professional responsibilities, balanced with your educational responsibilities. All of those things are really important. And the best way to achieve success in an online environment like this, when we're not seeing each other on a scheduled week-to-week basis, is to keep up that two-way communication. So I'm going to be communicating a lot with you, and I want you to feel free and comfortable communicating back with me. If you needed an accommodation for anything, or you need an extension on anything, or you need some assistance with something, know that that's where your opportunities to reach out to me are really going to come in and play an important role. So that's an overview of my communication philosophy. I'll also go over at that in the course navigation video as we talk a little more about these things. But just know that keeping those lines of communication open are very important to me, and I really privilege and prioritize it in this course. So as I mentioned, this is English 220. It's World Literature 1. Essentially, we're going to be reading literature from ancient Mesopotamia up through what's called the Renaissance. That covers an extraordinary period of time. We're talking something like, 2000 BCE all the way up to 1650 in the Common Era, which is almost, a 4,000-year period of human history. And true, we don't have a lot of works from the ancient world. About 99% of all works from the ancient world have been lost, but those that we have are really precious and valuable, and they can reward multiple rounds of analysis and study and multiple readings. And so we are covering a large track of time and a variety of literary works from around the world. And we're also doing so in a compressed term, right? This is a summer term. It's an 8-week part of term. And so we're going to be doing a lot of reading in an abbreviated amount of time, but covering also a large stretch of human history. It's important to me to say that I do not have a teaching style or a teaching philosophy that just throws you into a work of literature. I think that literature is best appreciated when you are knowledgeable of the historical context that surrounds the work, when you have some idea who wrote it, some idea of what was going on at their time. Now, I think the mark of a timeless work of literature is that it can be read and appreciated over time. It doesn't have to be read at its particular moment, because it speaks to something deep, valuable with the human condition. The experience of what it means to be a human in life on this earth. And it doesn't matter if you're walking around with a powerful computer in your pocket in the form of a smartphone, or if you're reading text on a computer screen, or if you're reading it in a physical book, or if you're reading it on a clay tablet or a papyrus scroll. When literature is doing the thing that it does best, we are able to connect to it outside of its time. But I think we're able to appreciate it for its artistry, for its accomplishments, for the insights that it has, when we also have an understanding of the historical and the cultural and the intellectual or political milieu that surrounds the work. So the only prerequisite for this course is English composition, right? The basic freshman writing course that everybody needs to take when they get into a college program. So there's no history requirement for this course. There's no intro to literature requirement for this course. You can come straight into this course coming off of English composition. That means I think it's incumbent upon me as your professor to provide you with that background information to help you get the most out of these texts and really appreciate them and get the full experience. So that's what we're going to be doing. We'll be covering a large track of time, like I said, and a variety of literature. But you might think of this as sort of a great works course, right? The works that we're going to be reading have been the ones that have stood the test of time, the ones that continue to invite people back to read them and analyze them and reflect on them. From my mind, there's not a dud in the batch, right? We're going to be reading a lot of really great stuff this term. Some of it will have mythic origins and overlaps. Some of it will just simply be, world's first or earliest known, right? These are the big classic works of world literature. Those will be the things that are going to concern us for this term. Our text for the course is the Norton Anthology of World Literature, Volume 1, the shorter edition, the shorter 4th edition. Now, this is an important distinction to make, because if you look up the Norton Anthology of World Literature online, you're going to find that there are 2 options available to you, right? The first is a Volume A, Volume B, Volume C. That's going to cover the exact same amount of time, but it's going to be more works, right? 3 different textbooks, 3 different anthologies that all together cover the same time period. But then there's this book, and it's the shorter edition. It's the one that's got the sort of lavender color down the side and the portrait on the front here. This is a mummy portrait of a young man. And this is a larger book, but it's the shorter edition. And so it's going to cover everything from ancient Mesopotamia up through Shakespeare in this one book. And so that's the book that we're using for the course. I've provided you the ISBN information for the paperback, as well as the ISBN information for the ebook. It is important for me to emphasize to you, though, that the text for the course comes with the course as a digital text. It's in the Ivy Plus bookshelf link. And so you can see there's a link on the left side of the page for Ivy Plus bookshelf. And if you click that, you'll gain access to the ebook. It's built into the course with your the Ivy Plus program, if you're taking advantage of the Ivy Plus program. If you are not taking advantage of the Ivy Plus program, which is not a requirement, you don't have to, but if you're sort of opting out on the Ivy Plus program, you can get yourself a physical copy of the book. And even if you are taking advantage of the Ivy Plus program, you might want to get a physical copy of the book. There are a couple of different reasons that you might want to do this. First, let me just say, I greatly benefit from having a physical copy of the book. I'm an internet native. I had the internet in my house. I was one of the first kids that I knew that had the access to the internet. I've been working on computers for, as long as I can remember, although I can remember some years as a child not having the computer and the internet in the house. The thing about physical books is that they really do allow you to read more deeply and with less distractions than when you're reading on a screen. I'm not a Luddite in the sense that I'm like uncomfortable with technology. I don't think I'd be teaching an online course if I was uncomfortable with technology. But I think there's real value to having a physical book in your hand, or a printed version of the text in your hand. First, the pages are just better organized. It's going to be easier to read the pages. Second, the digital book is convenient in the sense that it comes with the class, but sooner or later, your access to it will expire. And then you will lose access to the digital book. Of course, if you buy a print copy or rent a print copy and then maybe go on to own it later, then it's yours and you can keep it. And this is a book that has so much great literature in it. It would fit really nicely on your bookshelf, and it could be a text that you come back to, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, revisit some of these key texts that we're studying in the class. You might start with the Barnes & Noble website. Our bookstore team sometimes can get you a low-cost print option. You do have to pay for it in addition to the tuition dollars that you've spent for the Ivy Plus program if you're part of the program. If you're not part of the Ivy Plus program, or even if you are and you're interested in getting a physical copy of the book, you can support your local or independent bookstores wherever you are in the state by going to the actual store. If they don't have the book, they are more than happy to order it for you. I do this all the time with my local bookstore. You can also go to bookshop.org, which allows you to support local and independent bookstores by ordering a text through bookshop.org. If you would like a physical copy, but you don't have a lot of discretionary spending money right now, this is the 4th edition of the anthology, and most of all the readings that we're doing are available in the 3rd edition of the anthology. The page numbers don't line up perfectly, and the translations might not be identical, but the texts these are the great works, right? And so they've been in the Norton anthology ever since the 1st edition came out. And so you can access a 3rd edition of the anthology. You can go to a place like Amazon or a used bookstore. If you follow the link provided in the syllabus to Amazon, you'll see the copies of the 3rd edition for sale on the used site of Amazon. Look for a seller with a good rating, and you can buy straight from there. You can sometimes get a copy of the book for just a couple of dollars and free shipping, and then you'll have a physical copy of the book on hand, and they can get there relatively quickly sometimes. So you could also check your local library and see if there's a copy to borrow. If your library doesn't have a copy, sometimes they can get you a copy through an interlibrary loan, and you can take advantage of a physical book that way as well. I do have a PDF copy of the text that has most of the readings included in the PDF. And that's available in the module section. So if all else fails, a PDF version would allow you to print selections of the readings, and then you would have those on hand, and then you could have a physical copy to hold on to as you read. But there are lots of ways to get yourself a physical copy of our book, and if you can get it, I absolutely encourage you to do so. And if you can't, you can make use of the digital resources that have been provided for you. Okay, let's talk about some course policies and procedures. Number one, this is an asynchronous online distance learning course. You do not have to come to campus for anything. Everything you need to be successful is built into our Ivy Learn site. It takes a great deal of discipline, motivation, and time management to really be successful in an online course. If you've never taken one before, it's good for you to know that. If you've taken one before, you probably already know that, right? It takes discipline and time management and motivation to do a course like this and to do it well. I think it's important that you work on some sort of schedule. Block out the time that you're going to be doing the reading for the week, block out the time that you're going to be doing the writing and the coursework. You want to give yourself enough of a schedule. You don't want to just try to fit it in randomly. That is a recipe for falling behind. I've structured the course so that there are 3 benchmarks every week. There's a Tuesday benchmark, a Thursday benchmark, and a Sunday benchmark. The Tuesday and the Thursday benchmarks are mostly recommendations. There's one exception, that's submitting posts for the discussion boards, and that's not a recommendation. We need to be able to have midweek submission deadlines so that we can have replies and engagement on the discussion boards. But for the most part, everything's due on Sunday. So you can think about this course in terms of weeks, but I've given benchmarks inside the week to try to keep you on track. We are going to have some live virtual sessions in the first week. I've got 3 of them scheduled, a morning session, an evening session, and an afternoon session on Monday and Tuesday, the first 2 days of the class, June 5th and June 6th. If you can't make either of those times, first of all, they're optional, and I am going to record them. And I'll share the recordings in the course. But also, if you can't make either of those times and you want to meet with me live, of course, you can always reach out to me and we can schedule something together. Just a good reminder, all times in the course are Eastern time. So if you're in the Central time zone, you'll want to make sure that you're accounting for that to the best of your ability. Okay, due dates and makeup policy. All due dates are included in the syllabus, and they're also included in our course calendar. Coursework is scheduled to be submitted by the end of each week, but it's marked late if it's submitted after 9 a.m. on Monday of the next week. So, you start a week, work's due by the end of the week, Sunday night. I don't set the due date as 11:59 p.m. inside Canvas, though. And the reason I don't do that is that feels very arbitrary to me. And when I was a college student, I certainly did more than my fair share of work after midnight. And so it feels really arbitrary to me to set that as the time that something is due. So I've set the due date officially, 9 a.m. on Monday. And what that is really designed to do is give you the whole weekend. And if you need to get up early and finish something on Monday, or if something takes you past midnight, if you're staying up late to finish it, that's okay too. The whole, Canvas due date thing, it just defaults to 11:59 p.m. as if, everybody goes to bed exactly at midnight. And that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I have the due date set at 9 a.m. That's when things are marked late. But of course, you can always turn things in early, or if you have to end up, submitting a few minutes, it's not going to be late. And you'll see a little more about late work in just a moment. If an extension is needed on anything, all I ask is that you reach out to me before the due date. So if we're working on an assignment and you're not going to get it done, you are sick, you are traveling, your kids are sick, you've lost access to a car, and so you need to, arrange for something else. It's a busy week in one of your other courses and you need just a little bit of extra time in mine. Your other courses are less flexible than mine, and so you want to take advantage of my flexibility so that you can focus on those that have less flexibility, right? If you need an extension for any reason, you don't even need to tell me the reason. If you need an extension, just email me and ask for one. I ask that you do it before the due date. I mean, that's just a courtesy to let me know that you're budgeting your time and you're working toward getting things done on time. And you just need a little bit of extra time. It's a nice courtesy to have. The reason that I ask you to email me is I would like to work with you to establish a new due date. I've found in the past that if I just leave it open, people fall behind, and that is a key for trouble in an online course. So I would like to be able to give you a new due date to shoot for. I think that will help keep you on track, and that's why I ask you to email me. Plus, it helps me stay in the loop that you're not just skipping assignments, because if you start skipping assignments, then it makes me worried that maybe you're falling off the course and then your success in the course has been jeopardized. So trying to keep up that two-way line of communication and ask that you email me. Do remember, though, that I do reserve the right to prioritize the grading of assignments that are submitted on time. So if you turn in late work, it might be a little longer before you get a grade on it, but I do want you to keep that in mind, please. Any feedback that I give on the assignment is really designed to help you learn and grow. So you can resubmit assignments to improve the grade. So if you turn in something, you don't get full credit on it, I'll give you some feedback and you can resubmit for full credit. Any missing assignments at the end of the course are going to be given a 0, obviously, because I can't give credit for something that hasn't been turned in. But I want you to learn and I want you to grow. And so that's really the heart of what we're doing here, is a sense of being able to grow and develop. And so if I give you feedback and you want to resubmit for a better score, you are very welcome to do that. Non-attendance drops. You have to participate in the first week to show that you're actually here and involved. So you got to submit something in the first week. Otherwise, you get dropped for non-attendance. Last day to withdraw the course from the course is in the middle of July, Sunday, July 17th. Sometimes you can withdraw on your own through the Ivy Tech student portal. But other times you need to talk to an advisor. So even though the deadline is technically Sunday, that's something that you would want to work with an advisor on during business hours that week, before then, if possible. The important point is, obviously, I hope you stick around because I think the course is awesome. And I think the course has been designed to be very student-friendly, very learner-friendly, very oriented around the idea of intellectual growth and a study of the humanities, something that's very rich. It's designed to be a busy work-free zone. So I think the course is really nice. But if you decide not to continue, don't just stop participating, right? You have to pull yourself out. Sometimes it's a little confusing to students because there's that non-attendance drop, and that thought is, well, if I just stop participating, they'll drop me out. But that's only for the first week of the class. Once you're in the class, once the course has hit week 2 and beyond, if you, for whatever reason, can't finish, you have to initiate that process. I won't drop you. In fact, legally, I can't drop you after that first week. You have to withdraw yourself. So just keep that in mind. But I think, again, the course is really designed for your success, and you know that I'm here to support you, and you can reach out to me and ask me for anything. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but I'm putting it out there anyway. You can review the standard college policies at this link. I'm not going to go over them, but it's things like the Title IX statement, the Americans with Disabilities Act accommodation statement, the academic integrity statement, so on and so forth. All of the standard college boilerplate policies are included at this link. All right, let's talk about the stuff that you're probably really interested in, which is the assignments and grading portion of the course. So I want to say first on the outset, I'm a bit of a grade skeptic. If any of you want to talk about why that would be, I'd be happy to talk to you about my philosophy on that. But I have some restrictions for the online course expectations for what I have to give, with certain assignments and point values and those sorts of things. So basically, I've got freedom within structure, and that's what I am trying to provide for you in this course. To the greatest extent possible, this course has been designed to be a zone free of busy work. Okay? I believe that the goal of any literature course should be to read great works of the human imagination, to reflect on humanistic ideas within those works, to understand the unique contribution of forces that shape authors and audiences, to appreciate how these works function as art, and to engage in thoughtful discussions about the insights that the works can give us into our own lives. I believe we must put our experience of the text front and center. So as such, the assignments for this course are going to reflect those values that I just shared with you. And it's going to prioritize your personal engagement with the texts above all else. So what's that going to look like? Well, first are discussions. There are 8 discussions, and you can see each discussion area for the prompts and a discussion area for the rubric. They're 30 points. There's one a week, and altogether they're weighted to be 24% of your final grade, right? Online courses have sort of a bad reputation for discussions, and I get that. This course is designed to sort of change the experience of the discussions to really prioritize engagement with the texts. You'll see once you get into the discussions area, but also in the course navigation video that I'm recording, the discussions are staggered. So what that means is we're going to be reading texts. Let's say we're reading texts in week 2, but we're discussing those texts on the discussion board in week 3. And the goal of that is to give you time to finish reading the texts so we can have fruitful discussions with each other in week 3. The discussions are going to be very organically oriented around the text. They're not going to be oriented around artificial questions related to the text. So they're going to be oriented. And I am going to be an active participant in the discussions area, asking follow-up questions or answering your questions or helping you understand more about the texts. So that's the role that this plays. It's a very important component of our course. And in some online courses, the discussion area is just like box checking, just get through the course and not really focus on the discussions. In this course, the discussions are actually really important and really front and center in our learning. There will also be some quizzes. Our anthology contains some contextual essays that help set the stage for what was going on in the world at the time that the literature was being written. So each one of those essays has a multiple choice quiz that comes with it in our course. Some weeks you'll have one, some weeks you'll have two. There are a couple of weeks where you have none, but the quizzes are aligned when we're actually reading those context-based essays. Each quiz can be resubmitted as many times as you like in pursuit of the score that you want. So if you take the quiz all the way through and you get a perfect score, great, you're done. If you take it and you get 8 out of 10 and you want to take it again to, improve, that would be absolutely awesome. I worked so hard to try to find a way so that you only had to do the questions that you missed. Unfortunately, that feature is not available in Canvas. It has to be the whole quiz over again. And I apologize for that. I wish there was a way not to do it, but that is just kind of the way that it is. So you can retake the quizzes as many times as you want to get the score that you want. And it keeps the highest score. It's not an average or anything like that. But I tried my best. Sorry, I couldn't do that for you all. I really tried. But it's on the record there. And there's no time limit on the quizzes. They're open book. It makes sense to do the reading first and then go looking for the answers if you need to help support your quiz taking abilities. But it's not busy work kind of stuff. It's oriented around key ideas in the development of world history and key ideas in the development of world literature. The reading engagement portion of our course is the largest weighting of the term, and we're going to spend a significant amount of time reading the texts and analyzing them. It's a literature course after all. It's about 100 pages of reading every week. That's a lot, but it's not doable. I've taught these accelerated literature courses for years now. 100 pages is pretty doable, and it's pretty standard for what you would expect out of a survey literature course like this one. Because I am primarily interested in how you respond to and interpret the texts, you'll complete an engagement exercise for each of the assigned readings. You're going to have some options for how you demonstrate your engagement with the texts. And there's going to be a whole video recorded to kind of walk you through what the expectations are for those assignments. So I'm not going to go too much into them. We still have a little bit more of the syllabus to go over, and I don't want to have this video run too long. But that's going to be a whole separate video. There's a whole page with directions on it, and you'll learn more about what that is. But in effect, what I'm trying to do is give you credit for the work that I hope you're doing anyway as you're reading texts. So not so that you skim a text and then write a brief reading response or something like that. It's really designed to be oriented around reading the text, getting the most out of the text, and then getting credit for that work so that you're not doing multiple assignments all around the reading process, but you're doing one thorough reading process and getting work and labor credit for that in the context of the course. Finally, there's one analytical paper. It's in 3 parts. There will be sort of a midterm check-in, not a full paper, but like a reflection paper that's due in week 4. There will be a process paper that's due in week 6. And what I mean by process is You can either submit a rough draft, or you could submit an outline, or you could submit a plan and allow me to have some feedback on it. And then the paper itself is due at the end of the course. And that's in week 8. And you'll have an opportunity to start work on that paper soon. But it's one paper in 3 parts that'll get you from weeks 4, 6, and then at the end of the course is 8. And that is weighted to be 25% of the class. The scale for the final letter grade is provided here. Extra credit won't be offered. I'm philosophically opposed to extra credit. We could talk about why. If you're interested, you could reach out to me, or pop questions into the online cafe area of the course, and we could chat about the philosophy of the extra credit. But I do round up grades. So if your final grade is something like an 89.1, I will round that up to an A. Because why not? You're above the range for the grade, and so you might as well get the credit for being above the range. Let me say a few things about academic integrity and plagiarism. This has become more and more of a concern in higher education circles, and I feel like it's important for me to share a few words about my personal thoughts on this. I value intellectual integrity, and I value academic integrity. Activities that violate academic integrity, they diminish the value of your educational achievement. There's a really fascinating philosophical essay asking, why is cheating wrong? And the writer of the essay reaches the conclusion that the reason cheating is wrong is that it diminishes the value of your education, in the sense that it makes it harder for me to actually provide meaningful feedback to you, which makes it more difficult for you to learn the concepts and the skills. I hope you will find as this course goes on that I'm all about the learning. When it comes to assessing individual items, I have something of a pass-fail mentality, right? I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, but I'm more about the doing the work and getting the feedback on the work than I am about the ranking of the work. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the class is a quote-unquote easy A, but it should be an easy A that involves work, and you're going to learn a lot at the end of it. So the class is really designed for that. And that's what's wrong with violating academic integrity. It diminishes the value of what you are able to learn and the support that I'm able to give you. It makes that support functionally meaningless because we're not all working on your actual academic output. In my personal experience, most cases of academic misconduct and plagiarism that happen in college literature courses, they occur in moments of desperation, right? Someone falls behind. Someone gets nervous because the assignment feels a little complicated or difficult. Someone ran out of time and wasn't able to do the reading. And so they want to try to get the work done, but they want to try to hide the fact that they didn't do the reading. That is when academic misconduct starts to feel like a quick tactic to complete the assignment. And the hope then is that the dishonesty is not going to be caught. And this can be particularly alluring in online courses, right? Where you are at your home and I am at my home, or I am in my office and you're not on campus. We are not seeing each other face to face. We almost feel like there are not humans on the other end of the screen, right? And it feels like maybe I'm less of a presence than I would be if we were all coming together in the classroom. What I want you to know, though, is that this course has been intentionally designed to minimize such desperation, right? Your experience with the literature is the central goal of the course. It's the front and center idea. I am interested in your thoughts, your reactions, your interpretations, your mind at work. There are few, if any, correct answers in this course. I guess the multiple choice quizzes have, correct answers, right? But in the writing portions of this course, the paper, the discussion boards, the reading engagements, there aren't correct answers. Interpretation comes from within. Meaning making happens in the transaction between you and the text. And so we're all going to pull different things out of these texts. All the texts are going to speak to us in different ways. That's a good thing. That's the opportunity to grow as a human, is to feel the way that you experience the text and to hear about the way other people experience the text and the meaning that they make with the text. And sometimes their meanings can change the way you feel about the text and what the text means to you. So there are few, if any, correct answers. Extensions are always possible. Assignments can be resubmitted based on my feedback to get a better grade or to get full credit on the assignment. If you outsource any step of the writing process, any step of the work process, outsource it. Outsourcing denies you the opportunity to do the kind of authentic thinking that is really at the core of higher education, right? If part of the work is done by another person or something else, and you're taking that and trying to pass it off, you are denying yourself the central value of what higher education really has. College courses shouldn't be a game. They shouldn't be who can rack up the most points by the end of the class, right? College courses are about growth. They're about learning. They're about exploring things and experiencing text that you might not have an opportunity to experience. And so that is the value of the class. And I've constructed the class to reinforce that, right? If I said to you, that's the point of the course, and then I'm also aggressively going through and keeping track of everything and taking off half points and marking every wrong comma, you would maybe start to get the impression that I didn't actually value the study of the humanities, that what I instead value is something like game compliance. And that's not what I value as a professor. And I want you to get that. I want you to hear that from me live, the words coming out of my mouth. I hope you believe it now, but I also, if nothing else, I hope as the course continues, you see that is my practice. That's my pedagogy. That's my philosophy. Commitment that I make to you is that I am ethically and professionally opposed to plagiarism detection services like Turnitin. I do not use those services. I think those are for-profit companies that profit off of your labor. And you often don't have a choice as to whether you submit your work to those places or not. And so I am ethically opposed to making you submit to those services. We will not use Turnitin in this class. However, I'm an English professor, and so I have a pretty good eye for voice and the use of language, including language that sounds more artificial than of a natural intelligence, right? So please be aware that I reserve the right to ask you to attend a Zoom meeting with me if I ever have a concern regarding the thinking, the learning, or the writing that's produced for this course. You should keep all drafts and notes of your coursework until the course is completed. You should use, for example, Google Docs to write your texts for this course, because keeping your notes or keeping your drafts is a really important component of your growth as a reader, a writer, as someone who studies literature. So please keep that in mind. It's important to me that you know that and think about that going into the course and how it begins. For the diversity statement, let me just reiterate here to you that my goal is to help students become more incisive thinkers. effective communicators, and imaginative writers. As an English professor, I acknowledge that language and its uses are powerful and hold the potential to empower individuals and communities. The work of a college English course provides the means to engage in meaningful conversation and collaboration across differences and with those with whom we disagree. And the faculty offer methods for exploring, understanding, problem solving, and responding to the many pressing collective issues we face in our world. These are skills that align with and support Ivy Tech's mission to, quote, put diversity, equity, and belonging into practice by graduating culturally literate individuals who will make positive contributions to their local communities. My pronouns are he, him. You do not have to share yours, but if you have pronouns that you would like me to use and respect, I will do so. Just let me know. Please let me know if you use a name that is different from the one that's listed in the college's course management software. You also have the opportunity in your options setting to change the display name that you have or change pronouns if that would be important to you. So please feel free to do that. Just know that this is a space where I will respect that and ask you to bring in information. You can message me privately about these things if you want, or you can share this information about yourself on our discussion board. Everything else here is pretty straightforward in terms of course communication. You have to abide by our student code of rights and responsibilities. Common online etiquette needs to be upheld. You can customize your Canvas settings so that you receive information when things get posted or when anything gets added to the class. There's a support section at the bottom of the syllabus, including if you need tech support, you can ask me, or if you need more tech support, you can just certainly do that. And if you need any disability support services are also listed. My supervisor's information is listed at the end of the syllabus. If you have any problems or concerns, I hope you bring them to me first. Let's see if we can try to resolve them on our own. But if not, his information is listed at the bottom of the syllabus. And then the course summary includes all of the assignments and their due dates. Remember, all of the due dates say that they're due on Monday by 9 a.m., even though really it's due by Sunday. It's just set in the system so that it doesn't default as late if you submit it after 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night. That is the end of our syllabus. You'll be able to download a PDF version of the syllabus soon if you'd like to hold on to that. That includes a lot of the due dates and the schedule. It's designed for your use and convenience. If you have any questions, of course, do reach out to me. It's nice to meet many of you. There are 2 other introductory videos that you'll have an opportunity to watch. The first is a course navigation that walks you through the various areas of our course and where you're going to go to find things. The second option includes the reading engagement opportunity overview, the guidelines that will show you how to complete that assignment. And so you'll keep an eye out for that video. It should be posted in the early part of the first week. And then you can also rewatch this video or use the information for the video to jump to a specific moment in the video if you need to go back and review something. I hope the course seems interesting and exciting to you. I'm excited to teach it. I get really excited about teaching literature and art, especially the old stuff, which I work really hard to try to make feel very modern and alive. I think it's often shocking how modern ancient texts really feel. It's a reminder that the ancient world was, in the grand scheme of history, not that long ago. And that the humans who lived in that world were not at all different than who we are. They might have a different social context, and some of the structures of their societies might have been very different, but they were still humans, and they still struggled with the same things that we did. There's a source of ancient wisdom, I think, that can be taken from the older text, and also a reminder, too, that people have been struggling with a lot of the things that we struggle with. And that can be really value as we work through our own experiences of what it means to be human. If you have questions, reach out. I'm more than happy to support you. Thank you so much for watching this video and staying with me all the way through the end. I will see you in other course videos, and I'll see you deep into the course once the term begins.